Hi everyone, welcome back to my Fosstube. My name is Rachel, this is Lemonade Stitching, and today is my April 2026 wrap up. Can you believe it is already May? I know I cannot. I can't believe we're already here. The year is absolutely flying by, but I am excited to be back showing you guys all of the cross stitch that I got up to last month, telling you what my plans are for cross stitching this month, and I will do a little bit of needlepoint and knitting talk at the end once I finish all the cross stitch stuff for those of you who are interested. So let's jump in. I have a lot of stuff to show you. If you watched my last video, I said I probably wasn't going to get as much progress done in April because I was finishing up grad school, had a couple of projects due, and if I learned one thing about myself last month is that I can procrastinate, and when I'm procrastinating I stitch even more than on a regular day. So I definitely made a lot of progress this month, got both projects turned in on time, and everything worked out fine. So let's jump in. I have a couple of FFOs to start with. Sorry, I had to go deal with the cats for a second. But anyway, let's jump in. I have a couple of FFOs and I'm really excited to share them with you. First up is Jacque's View. I've been working on this piece for I think 2 years now. It is officially done. I'll try and show you, but it does have glass, so there it is. I love how this came out. I ended up putting this in an 11 by 14 frame that I just got at Michael's, and then I had them custom cut a mat to the correct size since it was kind of an odd long rectangle, and it came out absolutely beautiful and it matches my living room really well, so we've added it to our gallery wall. So very happy with this, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. Yeah, there you go, through the glass. That is Sybil right there. And it is just the most beautiful little European balcony scene. And I'm really happy with it. The backstitch adds so much. I'm just obsessed with it. So that is Jacque's View, officially done and finished. I will say the custom cut mat at Michael's was a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. I thought it would be like a good little hack, right? Go just get a mat and put it in a standard frame. But the mat was still like $60 or $70, like with the, you know, by the time they add on fees and stuff. So definitely not a cheap solution. I probably could have gotten a custom frame off of one of those websites that we all kind of cycle through for a pretty similar price, but overall, I am happy with it, and I really wanted the instant gratification on this one, so it is what it is. But that is Jacque's View. I apologize if the angle keeps changing. Sybil is having a rough go of it recently, so I have to keep getting up and just dealing with that. So this door is me open. I don't even know if you can see that on camera, but hopefully there's no cat fights today, and we can just get through the rest of this cross-stitch update. Okay, my next FFO I'm really excited about. I'm going to Italy in about a week with a little family vacation. We're going to the Amalfi Coast, and so I wanted to make a little memento or something for the trip. And if you know anything about the Amalfi Coast, you know they are famous for their limoncello, and it's a big thing in that region. And so I figured what better than a little lemon bag charm. So I found this lemon on the DMC website. I'll put a picture of what the pattern looks like, but it's a bunch of little fruit motifs, and I actually learned through finding this pattern that DMC has a ton of free cross-stitch patterns on their website, so definitely take a look, especially like fruits, veggies, little like travel themed motifs, and they're all teeny tiny. Like this lemon I think is probably 100 stitches, you know, like it's not big at all. So I stitched this lemon 3 times. I made 3 bag charms, each with a different color of stripes in the background. So this one is green and white, and that's one I'm gonna be keeping. And then I made one with blue and white stripes, and I made another with light pink and white. And I thought these would just be the cutest little thing for us girls on the trip. And the cording I just made myself out of DMC. I follow Tiger Lily Designs, her cording tutorial using a drill, and I just finished them with some yellow cotton fabric on the back and some mat board, and yeah, it was pretty easy. They're all stitched on just 14 count Aida because they're fully covered. Actually, they were supposed to be fully covered, but I didn't stitch quite enough, so some of the sides are kind of, there's a tiny bit of Aida showing through, but I didn't really care. I was like, whatever, I'm ready for these to be done, so you can't even hardly tell. But yeah, so those are my little bag charms. I think they look so cute all together, and hopefully I get a good photo of these, like, you know, the cliche passport photo in the airport, but this time it'll be bag charms and a passport. So super excited with how these turned out. And I do actually have 2 more finishes, not FFOs, just regular finishes. And first up is Quaker Gardens by Blackbird Designs. This was my March start for my year of blackbirds. Here is the photo, or the chart, and that is what it looks like. I stitched this on 36 count agave linen, which is just a plain green Swigart fabric. And I did some of the called for, and a couple of the colors I had to switch just so they would show it better on my fabric. But this is how it turned out. I don't know that the camera is going to pick up the colors really well, but I am super happy with it. It is super fun, super springy, and I just absolutely adore it. Maybe if I hang it up or hold it up back here. Let's see. A little bit. Oh, it's so cute. I stitched it almost entirely as called for, except one little change that I made on accident is this little guy is supposed to be gold instead of blue, but I wasn't looking at the chart, and I wasn't gonna rip it out. It looked totally fine. So I think I have my color conversion posted already. If not, it'll be up this afternoon when the video is live. But the 2 colors I ended up changing were the green, which is called for as Weeks Dye Works Caper, and I switched it out for Classic Colorworks Balsam Fir, and Weeks Dye Works Dolphin, and I switched that out for Weeks Dye Works Blue Heron. So I just punched up both of those. So these are the 2 blues, and then these are the 2 greens. So you can see I just punched those up, and I'm really happy with how this came out. Eventually I will get a frame for this, and this will be hanging up as well. Staying on theme with the blackbirds is my April start from the Sewing Club book, and this is Songbird Whistles. It's this little drum here. So let me show you this finish. This is stitched on 32 count Weathered Stone by Atomic Ranch. And I stayed pretty true to the called for colors, but I did use several color and cottons that I had in stash. So this was the color palette I was working with, and I just ended up using 1 less color than what was originally called for. And this is my finish. So the more I look at it, the more it's growing on me, but I didn't love it to begin with. I don't know what exactly it is. I don't know if it's the colors themselves, if it's because my fabric is pretty just plain white. There is technically green on here, but it's really hard to see. So I don't know if it's that, whereas the model was stitched on like a tan with a lot of blue and green modeling. Let me pull up the picture again. This is the model, so it's more of a tan, and there's some like blue and green hues to it, versus mine is just, you know, white. So not exactly sure. I'm hoping that as I FFO this and stitch the companion piece that it will grow on me, and yeah, but we'll see. I've got plenty of room to stitch the companion piece on here, and then also to use a piece of linen for the top of the drum. So yeah, that is Songbird Whistles. I personalized it with an R for Rachel, and I did 2026. So yeah, that was my 4th finish of the month. Absolutely insane. I can't believe it. Like I said, I was stitching like a crazy person, got a lot of progress done. I was also stitching in hand a lot, which definitely helped. And yeah, we had a big like road trip day. We went up to Ohio to visit family, so that was like a ton of time in the car that I got to stitch. So that definitely all helped and played into how much progress I got done. Okay, let's jump into my whips. I do 2 goal projects every month, and the first one is Baldaquin Birdies from Modern Folk Embroidery. This was the 2025 stitch along. I am getting pretty close to done, actually. My goal for this, I'm trying to pull up my Notion page. My goal for this was to get it under 8,000 stitches in the month of April, and I actually managed to get it just under 7,000 stitches remaining, which is awesome. So I'm officially at the 75% mark, and this is what my project looks like. So I'm stitching this 1/2 40 count flax linen, which is another just like base Swigart linen, with Gentle Arts Witching Hour, which is a very dark brownish purple. And I'm absolutely loving the color combo. I'll give you a close-up look. It's looking absolutely incredible. I officially added the year, which is exciting. So now I have no choice but to finish. And I'm super excited. I did end up charting Graham and I's initials to go up here under the chandelier. I obviously haven't put them in yet, but our initials will go there. So it'll be GH on one side and then R on the other. And yeah, I'm super, super happy with this and excited to finish it this year. Now that it's getting so close to done, I'm like, I need to pick another monochromatic piece that I can be working on, but I don't really know which one to pick. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. I don't love the 2026 stitch along, like it's just not for me. But I would love to just pick a different one from the Modern Folk Embroidery catalog and get started on that. My other goal piece is the Bride from Lavender and Lace. I've got the card here with the photo. I am stitching this with my friend Ashley over at Ashley X Stitches. She has an awesome floss tube, so go check her out if you haven't. But she is stitching The Wedding by Lavender and Lace. We share an anniversary. It's October 17th, so I got married last October 17th. She is getting married this October 17th, and so we decided to stitch these bridal wedding themed pieces kind of together and cheer each other on. So if you're interested in Ashley's progress, definitely go check her out. Her project is looking incredible, and she's stitching it on a beautiful pink linen, and it just looks amazing. Pardon me while I shoot a cat off of my projects. Lucy, please, 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 please. This project bag has a tag on it, and she's like a infant toddler when it comes to, you know, like tags that they can chew and play with. Anyway, back to the cross stitching. This is my progress. For this project, I wanted to get it under, or I wanted to get it to, I should say, the 40% mark. I met that goal and I got it to the 44% mark, which again, very exciting. It's amazing what you can do when you're avoiding homework. And this is my progress. So I'll do, you know, from afar to give you an overview, and then I'll come in close. So this is stitch 2/2 on 32 count Beachcomber Soft from Color and Cotton. I'm doing all of the called for colors. And I focused this month mainly on the bustle. So I'll kind of fold it so you can get a good look over here. So I really just brought the bustle down and got in some of these like ribbons and stuff. And it's just looking absolutely incredible. That is more of her dress. Oh, I love it so much. I'm really, really happy with this fabric. I love how the colors look on it. I just am obsessed. I did do 1/1 for the skin, and I'm really, really happy I did that. I think it just makes it look even more delicate and stunning. And I'm excited to keep chugging along on this one as well. I think I just said I'm past the like vertical 50% mark, almost to the cross stitching 50% mark. So yeah, we are just gonna keep moving along. I might switch over to a different part of the dress and do some more like block stitching in the month of May, possibly. We'll see. But overall, really excited to keep working on that one. Next whip is a Nashville start, and I didn't take it out of the hoop, so let me do that. We're out of the hoop, so let's continue. This is Coneflower Chorus by the Blue Flower. This was a Nashville release this year, and I started it pretty much right away. I'm using the called for Baldaquin cotton floss and a piece of 32 count Blue Ridge that I had left over from another project, which is by Atomic Ranch. So this is what my project is looking like. There is a ton of hanging threads on here, so I apologize for that, but it's looking so good. This was another one where when I was first getting started, I was really like completing sections and it was just slow going and I wasn't loving it, but I started like outlining it and kind of just moving down the piece so I could get a better visual of what it was going to look like. And since doing that, I have reinvigorated myself, I guess, to continue working on this. So it's looking great. Again, past the vertical halfway point, and excited to keep making progress on this one. This is a beautiful piece for spring. I think the colors absolutely pop on this blue fabric. I wish I could still get this fabric, so I'm gonna have to find something in a similar color to keep in stash. So this is another one where it's hard to see what the color actually looks like on camera, but if you know of a good light blue similar to this, leave me recommendations, because this is my last piece of this fabric. So another thing I want to point out is for this, I'm stitching, I think I said 2/2, but I'm stitching it like in the shape of each little area instead of straight lines across. So you can see the variegation in these petals as the best example. Instead of having stripy flowers, the thread color kind of loops into the middle. And I'm doing that for every petal, every bird, so that the variegation looks more natural instead of weird stripiness. So really, really happy with that. This is my first time using Baldaquin cottons, and at first I wasn't having the best time, only because I had to like get them out of their little wrappers and it was just, they got tangled really easily. But the more I work with them, the happier I am. One thing I've noticed is that they seem to be wound really tightly or like spun together really tightly, so they really hold on to that twist. So I find myself having to kind of like run it through my fingers a couple times to get the thread to relax and not like twist up when I'm stitching with it, but that's a pretty easy problem to solve. Let me show you the threads for this one because they're just so pretty. Look at that. I love them. Absolutely stunning. All right, and we've got one more project to go, and that is Pink Wren by Jacque Stitch. This was a spring release from Jacque Stitch. I know a lot of people have been super excited about this. I was super excited about it ever since she teased it and posted photos and stuff. So I started it right away when it was released, and I ended up getting the Roxy Floss Co. conversion. So that came with the called for French hen linen, and I got that in 40 count. And then a Roxy color conversion. And this is my progress. So this is, I want to try to get a good visual of the fabric color. Okay, that brown is like screaming on the camera. It does not look, I guess it kind of, you can kind of see like brown and rust on the bottom. It's definitely a dark green, but there's also a lot of like brownish red in it. And I know I posted a picture of this on my Instagram story and I just could not get the color of the fabric right. But this is one, it's definitely less green than I was expecting from seeing the cover photo, So that's just something to keep in mind if you're trying to figure out what fabric to put this on. I do like the French hen. I think the colors look absolutely incredible on it, but I do think it looks a little different than the cover photo. So there is the cut of fabric, and then let me bring you in close for the good part, which is the stitching, because let me tell you, the way Jacque Stitch has just a way with colors and threads, and it's just incredible. I was working on this bird, and every single stitch I put in, I was like, this is just brilliant. Like the colors, it literally felt like I was painting with thread. It was absolutely incredible. Every single time I put in a new color, I was just obsessed. So excited again to continue working on this. I really loved all the projects I worked on this month. But yeah, really am loving this, loving the colors. This is definitely the darkest fabric I've stitched on, so it was kind of hard at first to get used to it, but now I love it. So yeah, there is Pink Wren by Jacque Stitch. And Lucy's here to say hello. You can see her little ears. I'd pick her up, but she hates being picked up. I think it's like she doesn't like being off the ground kind of a situation. Almost lost my color conversion. That would not be good. I usually try to like pin these to my bags, but sometimes they fall out. Okay. That is everything I cross-stitched on and finished and whatnot. But let's talk about cross-stitch plans. And then I have one little bit of cross-stitch haul that I got on Facebook Marketplace, of course, or Facebook D-Stash. So that is, of course, another Blackbird. I saw this for a pretty good price and I just couldn't pass it up. And that is What Remains. So here is this beautiful Blackbird sampler. Love her. And it was kitted already with all of, actually not the called for it, but I think kitted with silk. Yeah, kitted with silks, which is incredible. Here's the color palette. And these are Fibers to Die For silks, which I've never used, but excited to give them a try. And then it came with a big cut of linen as well, which I think the tag is downstairs. I know it's from Hobby House because I recognized the fabric tag, but that's all I remember. So it'll be a surprise when I start it what color the fabric is. But I'm really excited to add this one to my to-do list of Blackbirds this year because it's just stunning. Speaking of Blackbirds, I am starting a new Blackbird every single month this year for my Year of Blackbirds. They're one of my favorite designers. I've got a good little collection going and I just want to. So that is what I'm doing. And my May start is the companion piece to Songbird Whistles. And that is, hold please, Gathering Swallows. So it is this little pin box oval guy, and this gives you a much better view of that fabric with like the green and the blue. So I'll be stitching this on the same linen, same floss, and we'll just see what happens. I have some thoughts in my head about what I might do if I don't like the colors. I may or may not be toying with the idea of dyeing the fabric after it's been stitched. If that freaks you out, don't worry about it. You don't have to think about it. Don't let it stress you out. I don't know if I will, but if I don't like the colors, I'm like, why not? You know, what do I have to lose? If I already don't like the project, I might as well try it, and then everything will just be like aged and antiqued and distressed, and we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going, same fabric, same colors, and just see what we end up with and then go from there. But that is my May start. I might have more than one. We'll just have to wait until that floss tube to see, but I definitely will be starting that one at least. And I'm excited to say I am 4 for 4 for finishing all of my Year of Blackbird pieces so far. So hopefully I get May done, and then it'll be 5 for 5 because The second half of the year has significantly larger pieces scheduled to be started, so they definitely will not all get finished. But that is my only real plan as far as starts go, and then I have, of course, my bride and Baldaquin Birdies goals to continue working on. Technically, Baldaquin Birdies is caught up. I don't even have to stitch on that this month if I don't want to, but I want to stay on track, do at least 1,000 stitches, and maybe I can finish it even sooner than December 31st. And then the bride, again, do at least 10%, but if I only get, 6% done, doesn't really matter as long as I make it to that halfway point. So that is cross stitch, that is plans. I think that's all I've got for that. So if you're only here for cross stitch, thank you for watching. But if you're interested in hearing about my little bit of needlepoint and knitting that I've been up to in April, then stay tuned for that. Okay, so I mentioned in my last Fosstube that I started needlepointing. I know a lot of Flosstubers have been just trying it out recently. I know Stephanie from Lindy Stitches just got some needlepoint kits, I think I remember seeing, which is exciting. I am stitching a vintage tablecloth for my needlepoint project, so I don't anticipate having too many whips because this one's going to keep me busy for several years. This is 1/4 of the tablecloth, so but it has been nice to have this as an option when I need a little break. I need to not have to look at a pattern. It's easier to work on with slightly lower lighting, so if I don't want the bright light in my face at 8 o'clock, I can turn the lamp down a little bit and still be fine stitching on this. And yeah, so let me show you my progress. To be perfectly honest, oh, and also it's been nice because I made a new friend at Stitch Night who mostly needlepoints, and she told me about Stitch Club, which is a local needlepoint club that we have, and they just do like meetups every couple of weeks. And so it's been nice because now I can go to Stitch Club and actually have a needlepoint project to work on and have another social outlet to go to. So that's been really fun. I've met several really awesome girls there, and I'm excited to keep going. They have really cute merch too, so probably gonna get a sweatshirt soon. But yeah, anyway, let's look at the actual needlepoint. So I know I had finished some pink last time, and then since then I did my first 3 skeins of greens and I started on yellow. So I'm just gonna do my best to kind of show you the sections I've worked on. So I've got all of this green done here, and over here most of this is done, and then I worked down the side, so I got this huge leaf done here, and I think that's most of the green because those were pretty big sections, so I think that's about all the green. Oh, I did carry a little bit across the top here, this light green section, but those were some pretty dense stitching sections, so that's all I got out of those 3 skeins of green. And then I started on yellow, so I've got this thing is so massive. I'll put in a picture. This is how big the whole tablecloth is, but yeah, so for yellow most of the time I've been concentrated on this flower here. There is like a gold that has to go in the center of here. I haven't started on that yet, but I got all the petals done. And then there's another big yellow flower further down the side, and I got this about half done, and this is what I worked on at Stitch Club this past week. So these 3 petals, again, haven't done the centers yet, but I did get the petals done, or these 3 petals. So I am stitching this entirely in basket weave, and if you don't know what needlepoint is, basically basket weave is one of the most basic stitches, and it's used to fill up large areas, and it's really recommended. It looks like a half cross, right? It's just like 1/2 of the X, but it covers the back of the canvas a lot more than a half cross or a continental stitch would, which all look the same from the front. It's really the back that differentiates it, and because it's using more thread and covering the back in a different way, it lasts longer, I guess, like more durable, which is good for this because I want to actually be able to use it as a tablecloth. And also it doesn't warp the canvas as much. With half cross and continental, a lot of times people will experience a lot of like warping, right? So their square project will become what is that, like a parallelogram or something? A rhombus. I don't even remember all the shapes. But yeah, so let me show you on this big green leaf because I feel like this is the best example I have. Like the back of this looks the best. But they call it basket weave because the way you travel with your stitching, the back looks woven, kind of like a basket. So that is what I'm doing for most of the canvas. That is my plan. Let's see if I have any good examples. I did do the first flower in a mix of continental and basket weave just because I was learning and, you know, why not? But once I kind of got a hang for it, I switched over to basket weave. So you can see these petals, they're just kind of like diagonal lines versus this side is a woven basket weave. So that is that. So there's the back of my needlepoint if anyone's curious. That is about as much as I know about needlepoint at this point. This is a 13 count canvas about. I'm using DMC 3, which is a pearl cotton. Sorry, I'm knocking the tripod. Let me show you this. This is the DMC pearl cotton number 3. I've got pretty much my whole color palette picked out. I can put up a picture of what that looks like. And my current strategy is to do one skein of each color to start and then come up with a new strategy. I want to get every color in, at least every color on the flowers. So like blue, yellow, pink, green, gold, the browns, just so I can make sure that I like them all on the canvas. And then I'll just kind of buy more as I feel like it and kind of go from there. The only thing so far that I've kind of changed up from that original plan is the center here. So I'm trying to hold this up well. The center is this like dark green area. So picture this as like the card table if you're, you know, at the casino or whatever. I say that, I've never even been to a casino. But it's this beautiful dark green color. And I've decided to make it even more like a card table, poker table, whatever. I'm gonna use a Very Velvet. So right now I have this 319 DMC floss, and that was originally what I was gonna use there. But I'm gonna sub that, I think, for Very Velvet, which is like a flat velvety thread. And I think that'll just add a really fun texture to the center there and make it kind of stand out from the flowers. I'll probably do some type of stitch. Obviously, I'll do some type of stitch. I probably, for that section, will switch up my stitch type. So, right, most of this is going to be basket weave, but for that, I might do like some sort of brick stitch or something that like lays flat. Again, just to make it stand out from against the flowers, but that we are always away from that. And then also for the background, which will be out here, I'm doing that in, let's see, 842 as of right now. And I haven't decided if that's going to be basket weave or a decorative stitch. We'll see. The only thing about that concerns me about doing a decorative stitch for like the big background is there's so many areas where you have to compensate or go through like in between other motifs. And so in needlepoint, they call that compensating, when you have to like change the pattern to go between the other areas. And when you're doing that, you're supposed to make sure that your pattern lines up completely, right? So like if I'm doing some sort of like, I don't even know, like some sort of like longer stitches, or they're changing every so often, like the pattern should be continuous as if it was going through this whole motif here and like pick up where it should be picked up as if this wasn't even here. I don't know if that makes sense, but it worries me because I've never done it before and there's just a lot of little areas, so I don't want it to look weird if there's like a lot of areas of tiny stitches that don't actually match the pattern. So that is a problem for future Rachel. We have a ways to go before we get there, and worst comes to worst, it's just DMC. I can rip it out and change my mind if I hate whatever I choose to do. So that is that, and I have just a little bit of the yellow left in my first 2 skeins. I am going to Stitch Club again this week, so maybe I can get one of these done, and then once these 2 yellows are done, I think I'm going to move on to blue, which I'm really excited about. The blues are so pretty. Let's see if I can pull them out here. The blues are 932 and 930, so love those. But yeah, so that is how the needlepoint is going. If anyone's curious, I've been keeping track in my Notion of how much time I've been spending on the tablecloth. So let's see. Well, if you are curious how much time I've spent on this, shoot me a message or ask in the comments and I will let you know, but I can't figure out how to see it on my iPad. But I am tracking skeins used and total time spent so that I can, at the end of this, say, you know, took me so much time, cost so much money, used so much thread, whatnot. So really excited about that, really excited about how that is working out. I do have another needlepoint whip that I will be working on. I know I just said I won't have too many, but this is another vintage, like passed down project. One of the ladies at Stitch Night gave this to me. It was donated to the Creative Reuse, and it's these funky looking birds. If you know what these are, let me know. But if I got the canvas for free or, you know, less than $10, I don't mind doing it. So she gave me these funky birds, and I thought these would make a fun project bag. So again, nice for when I need something with no pattern to follow. And yeah, so eventually these will be a project bag. So I haven't started on that, but that is coming up in the needlepoint pipeline. So I probably will have progress on this at the end of May to show you. And then after all that, we've got knitting. Say hi to Lucy. Hi, honey. Lucy loves to like sit on things. So right now she's on my LL Bean bag, or my Land's End tote bag. She loves to just find a little area and sit on it as small as possible. But knitting is a really quick update, and that is, oh my god, I thought I finished these socks, but apparently I still need to Kitchener the toe. Okay, well, I thought the update was going to be I finished these socks, but the update is I almost finished them. I just need to Kitchener the toe. So that is the update on these blue socks. I started these in February, and they were a little travel project that I had when I went out to San Diego. I'm using Earth Yarns Harvest Fingering Weight 100% Superwash Extra Fine Merino in the color Indigo. So here is the info and the color. And yeah, so I've liked it so far. I've still got lots left. It's in this little koozie guy that is too small to be holding a full cake of yarn, but I put it in here anyway. And I've got it in this little bag I made. So almost done with this sock, and I will be casting on the next one on my Italy trip in a couple weeks. So excited for that. And this is just the vanilla sock pattern by Crazy Sock Lady. I use 9-inch circulars on everything except the toe. So yeah, that is that. That is all for crafty updates. Oh my gosh, I have no idea how long this video is. I truly have no concept of time, but I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of my crafty progress that I've been making. Like I said, it was a big month for stitching. I stitched a lot, so anyway, I hope you all have a good month. Let me know what you're up to, what you're working on. And oh, the other thing I was gonna say, I forgot to say this in plans, but I've started making plans for StitchCon. I am going to weekend A of StitchCon this year, so I've started thinking about everything I'm bringing and starting and whatnot. So if you'll be at weekend A, let me know. Can't wait to meet you. I finally have floss drops and stickers to hand out at StitchCon. I was like, 30 years the charm. I will finally order these in time. So I will have goodies to hand out if you come say hi. But yeah, I can't wait to meet everyone. I hope you all have a great summer. Retreat season is really ramping up, so let me know if you're going to any retreats. And yeah, I'll catch up with you guys in my next video. Lucy has absolutely loved the needlepoint. She often comes and sits on the canvas when I'm trying to stitch on it, which is not super convenient, but it could be worse, you know? She could be like eating it, she could be scratching it, and she just wants to sit on it. And how can you be mad at this cute little cat? Hi, baby.